I think they say that if the data is for free, then you must be the client. But one way or the other, they are making business out of you. You know, so having said that, you can go to the next slide. The next slide. Yes, so this is what I was explaining, is that the only thing that I had to do in modeling the flood and understanding the amount of rainfall and runoff that led to the flood within the lower part of the basin was for me to get a boundary of this area. There are 3 basins here. I think there's one basin here, there's one here, and then there's one here. But when I looked at the flood layer that I developed, is that the flood layer went all the way up, covering all of those 3 basins. So I had to understand the amount of rainfall that fell within this basin that led to that flooding. And you can see from that graph that I think that's March and May, and then that's September, November 2023, and then that is the January that side, and then also the January this side. You can see that the runoff, which is red, is also relatively high in relation to the precipitation, which is the rainfall. So in that case, you can also confirm that as much as there was high rainfall, there was equally a high rate of runoff that led into the flood. These analysis, if you have the boundaries of the area that you're looking for, it can take up to 5 minutes, because the data is already there, the scripts are already there. You just bring in your boundary, you ingest it on the cloud, you run the script, you get the information. Once you have that graph, you can save it on your local drive as a spreadsheet so that you can do further analysis. And I will show you later on how you can do that further analysis. We can go to the next slide. So this is just an introduction of how the platform looks like, because I know that as much as you are used to desktop applications, this is the new way of engaging with your spatial data. The Google Earth here is where your results appear. When you run the code, you will see your results in this platform, in this area. And then the code editor, that's where you run your code and you start coding. This side, it is where you store your code, basically. And then at the top, that's where you interact with the platform, including the search bar for any type of data set that you're looking for. Not only can you get satellite data, but you can also get the rainfall data that I was speaking about, and other organizations that are making their data free of charge. They can also host their data in this platform. Let's assume that at some point you decide that as a nation or as a country you want to publish your data, and you can also use this platform. You can upload it on this platform, but also only open it up for certain people. But you can also make the data available on this platform so that it can be easily reachable by those that want to use it. And on the other side, that's where you find your results and where you print your results, and a section where when you want to remove these maps that you find here and export them so that you can engage with them outside this platform, is on that side where you can export it to the Google Drive. And what is in the Google Drive, you can send it into your local machine and do some post-processing on that. And moving forward, what I'm showing you here is that it's the same area. It's the same area, the lower part of the Shire Basin. And here, what I did is that within a space of about 10 to 15 minutes, I was able to get buildings. Once I get the buildings, I was able to get the flood layer. I was able to get an image before and after, because for you to identify the flooded areas, you need to gauge the area, the image where you can detect the flood versus the image where there were no floods, to understand the natural boundaries of the river versus the boundary of the river after the flooding, so that you can get the difference. Once you get the difference, you'll be able then to pull out the flooded areas. However, the question is, we know that because we are experiencing the floods, the question is, what is the implications or who's affected on the ground? So you need to bring up those flooded buildings to identify the infrastructure that has been affected on the ground. And immediately you get the number of buildings that fall within the flooded area. And in this case, there are about 205,061 buildings that fell within the flooded area. Right. So all of these data sets, it's available online. And when it comes to decision making, I know that the disaster charter provides satellite data in cases of disasters, and they provide situation and analysis maps. But if you have this data and you have a satellite overpass, because the charter has to provide these maps, I think, within 36 hours, if I remember very well. But if you have a satellite overpass, within 24 hours, you can get this map and you can get the number of buildings that have been affected, and you can start disseminating resources on the ground to handle the situation based on what your model would have told you. Because the only thing you need in this situation is that if this code exists, we share the codes with the communities. You have it within your system. When you have that analysis, you digitize the area of interest. Once you digitize the area of interest, you run it within a few minutes, you have the results, and not only the results, but you know exactly the places that have been affected. And then you disseminate your resources to make sure that you can provide assistance to the affected communities on the ground. So I mentioned earlier that you also get the graphs on the side. The graphs on the side shows you the amount of rainfall that has been falling on that area of interest for the specific period that you've mentioned. And this is the rainfall of that basin from 1950 to 2022. And you can see the progression of the rainfall. And you can see that during that period, there was a high spike of rainfall. There are a couple of number of spikes of rainfall. But this is just a mere analysis and visualization of the rainfall. So you can take this data and start doing statistical analysis on it to try and pull out certain trends, whether since 1950 to date, what has been the situation in terms of rainfall over the years? Is it increasing, is it stagnant, or is it going down? Because these type of data, that's the one that you then ingest in your models to predict future rainfall trends within your area. And this is temperature. And you can see temperature, how it looks like, is quite different from rainfall, because this is seasonal temperature progressions. And you can see how different it is from the rainfall. And once you have these two data sets and you need to do your modeling, you are able to ingest it in your model so that you can improve your models. But this is not all the data that is required. There's a lot of data set that is required when you're doing flood modeling, because you need to take care of the land cover, you need to take care of the soil moisture, you need to take care of the evaporation and evapotranspiration. You need to take care of the runoff and the surface runoff. All of the data sets is freely available and easily accessible on this platform to help you improve your flood modelings. We can go to the next slide. So, what I did here is that it's a rolling mean that shows how the data set or how the climate parameter, in this case precipitation, has been performing since 1950 to 2020. It's the similar data as the one, but now what I've done, I've just created a rolling mean for better visualization. You can see that rainfall 1950 spiked a bit and then started to stagnate, right? There are certain cases where there are spikes. Those spikes are the ones where you had high rainfall cases. And with temperature, the same situation happens with the temperature. However, with temperature, you can see that there is a gradual increase with temperature from this side to that side. And when I looked at this graph, for me, it confirmed that indeed the globe is warming up. This is climate change, in my view, because it is not as stagnant as the rainfall, but it is an upward trend because this is temperature, right? However, these are anomalies. These are not normal. So it means that within the data set that is being analyzed here, you have certain images or data sets that are anomalies. So for post-processing or for improving your models, you remove these anomalies and you ensure that you average this part of your data set to ensure that you improve your models. Because if you don't remove these anomalies, the data and your models would be trained using the very data set that is unrealistic, hence making your model not to be as accurate as it's supposed to be. Right, and remember, this data set is from one source. I've shared with you two sources of such data sets. So you can also get the data set from another source, power, or from the Copernicus, from the same area, and you can start correlating the data set to ensure that is there any consistencies between these two data sets, so that when you develop your model, you can compare and contrast the performance of the model using data source from one area and the data set from another source. And this data, what I did here is that after getting the flood situation or flood occurrence data of the basin in Malawi, I wanted to understand which of those flood events correlate with the rainfall situation. So this is the rainfall, and these are the recorded flood events in the basin. And you can see the recorded flood events as you move towards, the 2020s, there are more recorded flood events. Now, this data set is hosted in Europe, but we are here on the ground. What is missing here is ground truthing data. I believe it exists somewhere in a department or somewhere. Now, once you get the data, you say, this is what is available on the cloud, and I develop my model using this data set. But do you have ground-based data that confirms that indeed during these days there was a flood? Because from this point on, you start the process of modeling future flood events based on the rainfall from the 1950s to the 2020s and the flood events that occurred during those years. Because you like to say, okay, fine, now that you have a flooding in this period and that period and that period, how much of the rainfall would trigger a flood? What is the threshold of the rainfall that will trigger a flood? Is it 200 millimeters per day? Is it 300 millimeters per day? But we want to know that threshold, because Once you know that amount, you are able to improve your monitoring, your early warning systems, because as the rainfall starts trickling in, the graph starts rising. As the graph starts rising, your runoff starts rising. Once it gets to a certain threshold, you issue out a warning. You don't wait until the tipping point, because the graph is telling you that the rainfall is increasing, the surface runoff is increasing, the soil moisture is increasing, right? So you need this information to improve your models. But to also improve them further, you need ground-based data to confirm that the information that you are getting online does correlate with ground-based data to improve our models. Thank you. So, with the data that I got online about the flood events in Malawi since 1965 to 2020, there were, I think, 65 occurrences. The total number of people that were affected during that period, 1967 actually, it was 3,944,907 people that were affected during that period. Whether it's correct or not, those are the dangers of putting information online. Now, if you have data that exists on the ground, you start saying, no, there is a problem here, right? There is definitely a problem. However, with that data set, you are able then to look at the risk and the risk of the population on the ground that have been affected by the floods, and the exposure of the population that is affected by the floods, or that will be affected by the floods. In this case, I looked at the population that was affected between 1967 and 2002, that was the number, and the total deaths between 1967 and 2022 was 1,001, the highest being recorded in 1989 and I think 1990 there. And if you look at that graph and you go back to the rainfall data that I presented earlier, you can start looking at the correlation. Because now, the data that you got from MDate, it does not only tell you that there was a flood, it tells you how many people were affected, how many people were, how many casualties in terms of the death that were affected, which area was affected in terms of the basin and the specific area. So this is where the rubber hits the road when it comes to decision making, resource allocation, and prioritization of communities that are more vulnerable than others, because there will always be funds that are available for post-disaster relief. So this type of information gives you that you'll be able to make better decisions when it comes to disseminating and allocating resources. Can you go to the next slide? So, once again, from that data, I wanted to know which areas are most vulnerable or were most affected during that period. And those are the areas, Balaka, Blantyre, Chikwanda, Deza, Machinga, but I believe those are the areas in the lower part of Malawi. Is that right? Or there are some parts in the central Malawi? You see, so this information says, if it was me given a project to say, run this analysis, I would be a bit biased, because in my head, I'm thinking this must be the lower part of Malawi. But now, since I'm engaging with the locals, say, no, this is not only that part. There are also areas outside the three basins that I've mentioned that falls within the red zone. I can call that the red zones, because since 1965 till 2020, those areas have been affected almost without fail by floods. So when it comes to prioritization of resources and strengthening the resilience of the community on the ground, those guys need to be prioritized because they are the most affected by the floods. Can go to the next slide. So, the next question would be, what type of flood or situation leads to the flooding? Because you've got different types of floods, flash floods, then you have long-term floods, but not long-term in the sense that they take years, but it's a matter of the rain falling over a long period of time. It could be a week or 2 weeks. Geographers will understand that that type of rainfall is called relief rainfall, without thundering and cloud, but it just rains quietly for a long period of time, but subsequently results into a flooding. So that's the type of rainfall that led to most of the recorded floods between that period. The brief torrential rains. The torrential rains, and I had no data there, and then you have torrential rainstorms, tropical cyclones, heavy rains, but this is the category of the rain that resulted into the recorded floods within that area that was studied. Now, we come back into the importance of data. I spoke about radar data, and I said I will explain what radar data is in relation to optical data. On your right, that is optical data. Optical data shows you what you would see with your naked eyes. You would see the clouds. Radar and that optical data basically is the satellites requires the presence of the sun to be able to take a picture. Yesterday I said the architecture of the optical sensors was based on our optics as humans. Similarly, if we switch off the lights in this room in the middle of the night, it will be dark. We won't see each other. Same thing applies with optical sensors. During the night, it's dark, they don't see because there's no light that reflects on the object such that the light is reflected back to the sensor for it to record. And then you have the SAR data or the radar data. We call them active sensors because they don't rely on the presence of the sun to capture images. They propagate their own energy. And that's why they're very critical in flood monitoring, to see the extent of the flood on the ground, because with optical data you have the issues of clouds and you can't see below the clouds. With radar data you are able to see beyond the clouds. Hence it is very much important to understand and utilize radar data during flood events. And I've mentioned earlier that both these data sets, they have a 1 week revisiting time. So there's absolutely no excuse why you wouldn't do such a desktop analysis just to see where is the flood layer, the flood boundary during a flood situation. Now, having spoken about all of these data sets and models and analysis of the data, the question is, how is it effective to the people on the ground? Because we're talking high-level stuff, but how does it affect the person on the ground who's going to be affected by the floods the very moment it starts hitting their households? It is the development of early warning systems. Early warning systems have been in existing for many years, but I believe the time has come for early warning systems to be changed in such a way that you cut away a lot of middlemen, if I may put it that way. Middlemen are those that develop the models, when they see the situation that the rainfall is spiking up, they are the ones sending messages to the communities. How about you automate the entire system? When the message comes from the model into the developers, it is equally sent to the people that are affected on the ground. Because what if there's no one in the office to push that button to send the message? You understand? So in terms of disaster, every delay in terms of time could be a loss of life on the ground. So early warning systems, they are very much needed. However, there is a need to improve the dissemination of information to reach the people that are affected on the ground timeously. Not only should they be using Wi-Fi or internet-based devices, let's also get back to the basics of sending simple SMSs. SMSs that will inform the people about the situation on the ground. Then they will make the decision whether they need to evacuate or they need to stay and bear the risk of the oncoming projected floods. So with that having said, that is the end of my talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Firo. A round of applause again. Before we go to the question and answer for this session, may I ask the tech team to beam the questions from the last session, Jesse's session, online questions. May I ask Madam Trainers to take those questions, to read the questions for us?
The first question says, you mentioned that South Africa does training based on the SMAD. I assume this is Professor Jim, I believe that's the name of the book. Is this all the training the South African Space Program personnel go through?
Another one?
Do I need to proceed before she answers?
Yes, please.
Okay. The second one says, you mentioned about the Shaka or vibration table and said that it is the largest or second largest in the world. What do you mean by that? What are the dimensions of this test cell?
Yes, the next one.
The third one, you talked about the qualification test with regards to system engineering. What other engineering tests do South Africans do on their satellites? The fifth one, how many people were involved in the aerospace and defense master plan? Could you talk about it a little more bit, as much as you can, without touching the classified aspect of it? I think you omitted the fourth one. The fourth one says, what activities does South Africa do with their space program that they would not do or would not be possible if the space program was not there?
Thank you. Madam Jessie, please.
The question.
Tech team, can you please beam the first one?
Unless you can slide it for me or project it.
Tech team? Yes, thank you.
Okay. No, the SMAD is not the only training that we get. There are modules that are on the aerospace curriculum that we cover as well. So it isn't, but for us to qualify as space engineers, that's where you begin, really, because it covers everything basically when it comes to space engineering. So yeah, it is not the only, but it's a must. It's a
It's
must.
like a foundation.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Can you please beam the second one?
Okay, so our shaker, when I mentioned that ours was the largest before the Chinese, you're looking for the specifications, and I don't have them at the top of my head right now. I can look that up for you and come back to you on that one. But yeah, we had the largest with 30 X's, but yeah, we have now been overtaken.
Okay, thank you. The next one, please.
You talked about qualification tests, what other system engineering tests do you? Okay, so I spoke of the qualification tests, which would be your functional test and environmental test. Those are the tests that we do in order to qualify our systems, from the major components until the flight model. So yes, it's both the functional and the environmental tests that we do.
Thank you.
What activities does South Africa do with their space program that we wouldn't do if we didn't have? This is okay. So with the space programs, I'm going to talk about the space engineering programs that we have. So what we wouldn't be able to do, I think for our government, it was to support the economy, because if we did not have these programs, we would not be having space engineers that could provide space engineering services. And somebody asked if we manufacture all of this, and I touched a bit. I did not give the history that, Sunspace as a company was doing everything right. But if you remember, Temidayo mentioned that the upstream companies are very few in Africa, and South Africa is saturated. They're actually leading. It's because we've actually had spin-offs from that one company being Sunspace. So the optic guys started their own company, which is Cymera. They are designing and building the payloads. Dragonfly is basically the previous SAS, so they do everything, which is what Sunspace used to do. Then you have your new space systems and your Cube Space. Those are guys that focus on ATS. So what we would not achieve is the revenue generation, I think, because there's a lot of money coming into the country, because you would find, for instance, New Space is providing ATCS components for OneWeb constellation, and it's a very large constellation. So that's, again, more money coming into the country. So HCD programs as well that we would not be having if we did not have these space programs, because for every program that we have, if it's a national program, then it has to have an HCD, just to ensure that we have the next generation of satellite engineers over time, because some age, some are late, and we are also aging. So just to ensure that South Africa keeps the status quo of being able to provide this, so it's revenue generation, because we're not getting any data from our satellites currently.
Thank you. Pilo would like to take that as well. Go ahead, Pilo.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. I think the other applications where space made a significant contribution is the oceans economy. The MDAT series of satellite was developed purely to monitor ship detection along the South African coast. So that is also another application. I believe it wouldn't have been successful without the involvement of space.
Thanks, Peter, for reminding me. Actually, yes. So Zakib, to the CubeSat that I spoke about is one of the satellites that Peter is talking about. So for maritime domain and awareness, we would not be able to monitor our own oceans if we didn't have our own. I mentioned that when you ask for data, you are asked what is it for. So we wanted to ensure that we have our own so that we can monitor the activities in our borders, ocean borders, and for fire detection as well. South Africa, especially in the Western Cape, during the summer, because it's not a raining season, it gets very hot, and we have a lot of what do you call these trees that catch up fire very easily. So for fire detection as well, we are using our very own to doing that. So yeah. I hope I've answered. Yeah.
Thank you. I think she has exhausted. Oh, that one is the last one.
So, Lyndon Petze that you met yesterday was one of the technical team. In fact, Lyndon is one of our board members at Astrofika. So even when we were developing the industry development policy framework, he was part of it. So it was the company called Blueprint that was heading the study. Then we were the technical team that was supporting Blueprint. We had CSIR also assisting in the development. There is a DPE, the Department of Public Enterprise, was also a part. They were actually the custodian of this study. So yeah, it was a big team. It wasn't just 4 people, but yeah, the core technical team was, let me see, it was myself, Khalid, Francois, Lyndon, Philip, Josie, the core team, the technical team, we like 6-7 people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Chis.
Anyway.
Oh, there is that question again. You did not tackle it right again.
Breeze in space, everything just. Okay, I was still reading.
I think the issue of debris, as we've said, that it is at the UN level, at UNCOPAS, it's a serious issue. It's been discussed, it's put on the agenda. So in the most of the UNCOPAS meetings, they would discuss removal of debris. We do realize that a debris is not just a satellite. Sometimes, satellites do disintegrate. If they disintegrate, one satellite disintegrates, it can have maybe up to 1,000 small pieces, flying around in there, and everybody understands it is there. That's why there's people that are doing doing all these projects and so forth to find out how to remove those satellites, and then maybe just to find out how not to keep sending satellites unnecessarily in space. But as I said, there's a lot of demonstration satellites from universities, from what and that. So it's a problem that everybody knows, and people are working on it. I think there will be solutions. As I said, some people are trying to put nets that they can just cast. Some people are trying to just to go and bump the satellite so it can deorbit. It just loses orbit and start deorbiting. So there is maybe easily 10, 20 companies worldwide that are busy looking at that, as well as obviously the Unicopers looking at how to do it. But as to where the solutions now, not much. Apart from the deorbiting solution, the others are still in progress.
Thank you very much for tackling those questions, and I would also like to thank all our online participants for those questions. Please keep them coming. Now we go to the Q&A for the just ended presentation by Pilar. Before we do that, Pilar, you talked about the need for ground services. My question is, how can ground-based observations be integrated with satellite data to enhance accuracy?
Thank you for that question.
Can we have another mic?
Thank you for that question. Satellites in space are mapping objects on the ground, and the distance between the satellite and the ground, there's a lot happening in between. You find water vapor, you find dust particles, you find pollen and clouds. That is the component we call noise we'd like to remove. Now, if you are having a sensor on the ground, you don't have that medium noise. So you are getting accurate readings. So you need that ground data to calibrate the satellite so that you fix that deviation between the accuracy and the not so accurate reading from the satellite because of the atmospheric noise. So by using the ground data, you calibrate the satellite to say, with this 5–10% deviation of the atmosphere, this is how your readings are supposed to be. Then you can calibrate the satellite using your ground-based data. That's how you can use the ground-based data to ensure that you have accurate readings of the satellite.
Thank you very much. We are going to take a few questions before we break for tea. Yes, and may I please plead that the questions should be on Philo's presentation.
Thank you very much. I have two questions to Mr. Phila. Question is, I wanted to find out Hello. Yes. I wanted to find out if you were able to define the frequency of occurrence of the flooding time frame. I understand you mentioned that between the period of 1967 to 2022, there have been over flood events. And I wanted to understand if this flooding has been evenly distributed, or maybe is leaning more to either the past or the present. And if such observation was made, what could be a possible explanation under that? My second question is on the house or building data that you utilize in this modeling. I understand this is open source, and mostly in Malawi, our houses and roads are not fully mapped. They require special calls in mapping to be able to render initiatives to make sure that our places find out if alternatives were used or open.
Excuse me, tech team, can you please provide a working mic? It's breaking, and I'm sure our online participants cannot capture what is being said. Thank you.
On my second question, I wanted to find out if alternatives to acquire building data were used, or it was strictly about OpenStreet mapping. I'm asking this question because in Malawi, most of our places are not mapped, and I have concerns over agency to complete the research as regards to the agency as well for decision making. And if we're doing, for example, OpenStreet mapping contributions, and it might not reflect the agency in interventions that are required, specifics of coming up with decisions for flood management and response, for example. So in this project, were there other alternatives that were used apart from maybe sourcing from open platforms to have a reflective of building data that were incorporated in this project? Thank you.
Thank you. Can you pass the mic to the next? And may I ask that you go straight to the question, please?
Yes, mine is both a question but first of all, I wanted to commend Makra for bringing Pilar and his team to make these presentations. Because when you look at Pilar's presentation, a government officer in Malawi wouldn't present that. Because the issue of the floods, I am a consumer, we consume this data and we see these things. So for example, the data that he has presented is clearly showing that the second Freddy disaster was not a big disaster. The biggest are behind. But this one appears to be the biggest ever. That gap is what is the biggest issue. The data is there, but how we use the data is a problem. So going forward, we have to look at that. The other issue is the last part of his presentation. I want to commend that because he's calling for action after we see the observations, and messages should be passed on. So for example, here in Lilongwe, we've got a zoo with some lions there. The government will tell us that the lions have escaped from the zoo. Where do we run into? They don't tell you. They will just tell you lions have escaped. And we'll start moving out of this hole, going in all directions. And one of the groups will meet the lions. So that's the problem that we are in. They will tell you there's going to be a flood. They will tell you there's going to be this. They will not tell you what to do. So I like Pilar's the last section of his presentation. It addresses the issue that we really do not have the data. We have the data, but we fail to act on it precisely, and we want to just call everything a disaster, a disaster.
Yes,
thank you very much.
Thank you. You've made your point. Can we please have the mic to the next? Thank you. And may I also ask that you be precise? Thank you.
All right. My question, it's on the challenges faced when using these satellites to the natural disasters. For instance, he talked about the cloud cover. They say they use the SAR images. So my question is, on the tools provided, the free tools which have been provided, do they give access to the SAR? Thank you.
Thank you. I think, Pilar, you can go ahead and answer those questions. Can you please assist with the mic at the front?
Thank you. I did not, I'll be honest, I did not define the frequency of the floods. And that is a very, very, very important question, because without knowing the frequency of the floods, you are not sure when would the next flood hit, because for us to know what's going to happen in the next month, 2 months, a year, we need to look into what has been the frequency in the past 12, 24 months. and it was an oversight from my side on doing this part of the research, but it's very critical, and it's possible, it can be done. The second part is the building data. If I heard you very well, is did we consider alternative data sets other than the one we used? Or was the question on how can you access the data? If I can get clarity on that. But while you are still answering me on that, let me go to the next question, which is challenges on cloud cover and SAR. Let me explain that the fact that, as I mentioned, that SAR is not your conventional remote sensing, because it requires some level of expertise to interpret SAR data, because what you see is not exactly what you think it is on the ground. So you need a specialized knowledge to know how to interpret SAR. There is a solution. The solution is you need to roll out SAR courses, workshops at different levels. The mainstream academic space and short courses on SAR, because SAR data is freely available and there's a lot of information that can be derived from SAR. One of the working groups on capacity development and data democracy, I used to be a chair of that working group. We hosted training workshops across the continent purely on SAR, because we realized that a lot of GIS and remote sensing specialists are comfortable with working with optical data. But when it comes to SARs, their knowledge is very limited, and they are missing quite a lot, because SAR has so much to give. You can see quite a lot with SAR data. So in your programs of HCD, I would encourage you to include SAR training, because the data is there. You can see so much with SAR data. There are a number of applications from SAR data. This is just the tip of an iceberg. So yes, the data is freely available. You get one SAR image a week. And bear in mind, the fact that you get one image of SAR a week, it means that you have no issue with cloud cover. So your data is always usable. Unlike optical data, where you want to monitor your field, it's raining. You have to wait for the next week. If it's raining the next week, you are missing another critical point of your data that could have made you to take a decision. So the data is freely available. I've mentioned the platforms there, but during the break we can engage as well, so that I can provide the sources and other sources, and also available on the Google Cloud platform that I presented earlier. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pilar. And ladies and gentlemen, we would also like to acknowledge the comments and questions from our online participants. These will be tackled later. We are way past our healthy break. May I request that we break for 20 minutes so that we come back and wrap up this morning session. Thank you. And a big hand for Phil as well.
CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Macra via email dg@macra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, Macra.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Makra via email dg@makra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, Makra.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Makra via email dg@makra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, Makra.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Makra via email dg@makra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, Makra.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Makra via email dg@makra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, Makra.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Makra via email dg@makra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, Makra.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Makra via email dg@makra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, Makra.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Makra via email dg@makra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, Makra.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Makra via email dg@makra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, Makra.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Makra via email dg@makra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, Makra.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Makra via email dg@makra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, Makra.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Makra via email dg@makra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, Makra.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Makra via email dg@makra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact MACRA via email dg@macra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact MACRA via email dg@macra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact MACRA via email dg@macra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact MACRA via email dg@macra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact MACRA via email dg@macra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact MACRA via email dg@macra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact MACRA via email dg@macra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact MACRA via email dg@macra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact MACRA via email dg@macra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact MACRA via email dg@macra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact MACRA via email dg@macra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Macra via email dg@macra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR will empower mobile subscribers and strengthen their security by allowing them to block or trace stolen mobile phones, check the genuineness of a mobile device while buying, and blacklist mobile devices involved in illicit activities across all mobile network operators in Malawi.
Wow! Chingira! Put your mobile device security first.
For more information, contact Macra via email dg@macra.mw or call 261 toll-free from any Malawian telephone network. This message is brought to you by the Malawi government via the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA.
Introducing the Central Equipment Identity Registry, CEIR.
Yes, the CEIR.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, can we please settle down so that we start? We are behind schedule. Welcome back from tea break. We are continuing with the satellite project use cases. Now it's time to hear from Botswana use case. Here to present this is Dr. Diman Poleng. He holds a PhD in computer science and is a member of IEEE and ACM. Since November 2021, he has taken on significant role in being BOTSAT, that's Botswana Satellite Project Lead, a project of great responsibility and ambition. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Diman Poleng, please.
Am I audible? Oh, I have to bend down. Okay. Dumela in Setswana. I'm here not for the downstream, not for the upstream, not for computer science, not for engineering, just as an administrator. How did we do it, or how are we intending to do it? Largely not by design, but by circumstances. Just a glimpse of Botswana. It is a country that is actually already in the upper middle income bracket. I know Malawi is saying 2063 or so, but please, I think you can reach that before 2060. We are a land of 2 million people. In the brackets there, bottom top left, I'm comparing it with a population of Malawi is 20 million. Malawi, it means, is 10 times bigger, almost, than Botswana in terms of the population. But the country, Botswana, is almost 4 times bigger than Malawi. But don't worry, it largely is a desert. The real GDP growth is at 3, according to IMF. Our GDP is 20 billion. It is actually bigger than Malawi's. I think Malawi is around 16 billion. GDP per capita is now $8,000 per head. Our buying power is 52 billion pula. Now, we don't normally talk about GDPs and also rankings when we have our big brother in the room, South Africa, because our GDP per capita is higher than theirs. But we rely on them about so many things that we don't want to upset them about GDPs, because we still want their support. Now, that is Gaborone. It's not that bad, Gaborone, but yet we are faced with realities on the ground. The rich and poor gap is still there. We still have to tackle socioeconomic problems. Our farming activity or our agric is extremely primitive. I would like to say that. We just plow for subsistence. It contributes less than 2% to our economy. Compare that with Malawi's 63%. So that is a big difference. We are not a farming country, to be honest. Even that 2% of GDP contribution, dominantly it's from cattle, just exporting beef. Now, in that context, the president said, I don't want to rely on minerals and diamonds. Let's reset the agenda for IR. He put that at the center of the new agenda: human capital development, technology, communication. So he launched this initiative that he wants to launch a satellite, just like that. This is where I said it was by circumstance, not by design. We don't have a space agency, we don't have a space policy. It's just that it's new in cabinet right now. But he woke up and said, because I don't have a space, where do I go? He drove 300 kilometers north to a village, a small village called Palape. There is Bust there. He said, Bust, you are at a science and tea university, do it. What did the Vice Chancellor do? He came knocking on our classroom doors. Who can do it? Who can do it? So you can understand the context. So I'm a full-time academic. I'm doing this part-time, and I have to find extra 24 hours a day to do it as well as a project lead. So my day is 48 hours a day. No load has been reduced on the teaching side, research side, but we still have to do this. I would not want to bore you with CubeSat. We intend to launch this sometime in around October next year. We prioritize on these key priority areas: water management or surface water management or monitoring, agric, obviously, and also town planning and human settlements. So these are our 3 priority areas for this particular project. However, let me emphasize this. It is the other way around. We are looking at HCD, technology demonstration. We are not looking at industrial service from this particular satellite that we are going to launch, because it's going to be, I think, a 3U that we are looking at. So focus is human capital. You will see later on one of the slides the results of that, which is good. You need to know, and then technology will just adapt to your knowledge. Okay, the first thing that we started with was to build a ground station. Ground station, we prioritized on it because we said, if it can work, it can receive data from thousands of satellites that are already orbiting. Not only that, it can also serve as a service. We call it ground station as a service. Those satellites that are orbiting above Botswana that are not ours, the owners can log in and then use our ground station to process their data. So that is the intention to just as a service. And it's working operational, and it's receiving real live data now. Just waiting for our satellite to be in orbit to do the same. Now, the reason why it was a little bit expensive at the beginning was that when I was given this project, it looked like what what is on the left, that bush, the green bush, and then I had to zoom into that and then cause that huge scar to set up the ground station. So 50% of the cost went to the ground preparations, about 30% to the ground station itself. But I don't want to talk about the PG students' cost because it's really hefty. I have not included in that. This was our Eureka image. Wow, oh, this container can receive images from the satellites. So we could see there that Malawi was heavily raining that time. So we picked that from one of the orbiting satellites by NASA called NOAA. We keep on doing that even today. Now, this is the main reason why we want to do this, at least the phase one of it, HCD. These students, half of them graduated, the rest are just about to graduate. The cost of these students in dollar terms for the past 2 years, $250,000. You can see it is a hefty investment, and we are recruiting more in January. We are going to double that budget. We don't want also to relieve pressure from South Africa, which is absorbing most of the space-related postgraduate training. We also want to do it. So this is where the interest is. Not only that, what we also prioritized on was to indoctrinate kids. So as a project lead, one of the team, the group that is on marketing, outreach and all that, they couldn't believe it when I wrote them a formal memo. I said, you have unlimited budget. Why? Change the kids, change high school students, especially girls, to have interest in STEM. This satellite, after launching it, it will last only 4 years or 5, and then just burn off as it hits the atmosphere. But the mind of that kid, they will be the one now launching a bigger one like JC's satellite. So we are prioritizing on just indoctrinating young ones as many as possible, just using this demonstrator technology. The HE was so excited that he came to open it. He's that guy in a blue-black suit, happy with the students that also did the assembly. And then this is where our ground station is. In conclusion, how long was that? Thank you. I mean, I've been screaming people taking 1 hour, 30 minutes. In conclusion, I would like to say this to Malawi. Don't wait for the policy. Don't wait for, I know you already probably have, don't wait for the space agency. Just do something. There is a lot you can do in the LEO space that you don't need to have bureaucratic documents. Now, look for some funds, approximately $1 million, okay? And then say, this 1, 2, 3 universities, just launch a CubeSat. So that will stimulate, encourage, even influence policies. Even though it is not an industrial satellite launch, it is just a demonstrator. With that, thank you, Malawi. First time I'm in Malawi, I'm enjoying it. Thank you, MC.
Thank you very much, Doc, for that short and nice presentation, straight to the point. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please ask that we do just 3 sets of questions, 3 questions only. Yes, there is a hand at the back. Yes, please go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much for the presentation. But my question will not go specifically to him, but I would want to go to the immediate presenter before him. If you do permit, with your indulgence, One issue that I wanted to find out from the last presenter, when he did present on disaster management, I don't know with regard to the information availability, how do you make the information available in real time? Is it based on the national or it's regional specific? Maybe would you come out clear? Because as a nation, maybe you can learn one or two issues from how you are doing in South Africa to mitigate against disasters. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want my questions first.
Yes, please.
Just
please.
to be fair.
Can we have questions for the doc?
Thank you, Doc. I'm interested in the training that you offered to the students. Was this a degree program, a short course, or what was the format for training the students? Were they attached to a university and so forth? I wanted to find out more about that. Thank you.
PhD masters within BUST itself. Have I answered? BUST itself, as a University of Science and Technology, is the one that has been charged to do this project. So they are just next door. They're doing experiments between the site and the labs. So master's, PhD.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc, for your presentation. Excited that you can get up and running in such a short time but having that championship behind you, I think that's the wind behind you, beneath your sails, as it were, to make sure that you're able to achieve your objectives. I also like the bottomless budgets. Tell me how you get those. So we'll need some advice going forward. I'd like to find out from you, and congratulations on what you've done so far, how much did it cost to set up the ground station? And you know, as indicated, you've got students that have started working with you, but you said yes, they've got a master's and PhD already. In what subjects? So as they joined your group, thank you.
Yes, Doc, you can take that.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. When I say bottomless, I meant within the X budget that I have for outreach. Not that government has got bottomless budget for me, no. I really wanted to prioritize on outreach, especially to secondary school, and particularly to female pupils, and let me say girls. But again, it is not, I would like to say that you are also correct. We don't have budget issues really as a project, but BUST may have budget issues. Because of that GDP, it's okay. The government just wants to do something, and then I have to make sure that within the limited resources, we do something. It's not enough, so we try. Another one, there were three. Oh, yes, yes. I was sort of a little bit cagey about it because it may sound discouraging. For example, the grounds work, okay, just top of my head, for the ground station budget for everything, $500,000. But it's worth it. Yeah, it is worth it. I know someone can say, what? For in Botswana, Pula is 5 million Pula. What? 5 million Pula for, but it's worth it. Don't forget that the mines are priceless. Those who are training on it, they are priceless.
Thank you very much.
Is another one there?
Another question? I'm assuming it's based on this presentation. And please be precise.
Start with the name. Charles. Oh, yeah.
Comment.
Yeah.
How many study tours did you do before you started doing the project?
How many?
study tours going around the world to study how to do a ground station?
Myself.
The whole project, because here there would be 10 study tours before the ground station is done.
No, I didn't hear the question. The question, Charles, just repeat it. How many trips outside to benchmark and all that?
Yeah, not the trips. Here they are called the study tours.
Study tours.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just respond, Charles. You said Charles, right? Yeah, I'll just respond by saying, just pick me as an example. I think this is the first time in 2 years that I use BOTSAT funds to travel. So it is really up to leadership. And even that, sorry, I don't know if you'll kill me. I was funded by Makra to be here, partly, or almost wholly. But of course, BU said, no, we can't let you just go like that. So 25% of the podium rate. So I was saying, it was the first time I did it. I would say that just using staff that are already trained for this, they've already been to universities across the world, South Africa, so why retour? And also there's internet, we just download and read manuals, and then you set it up. So are you saying that I should say 1 million budget after you said that? Yeah. But Charles, I'm inviting you to Botswana, fully covered, to come and talk about the downstream applications. I think I like that. A limited budget for you.
Thank you. I think we are done with the questions for the doc. The other question that was asked for Pilo.
Oh, yes.
Pilo, please.
Am I done?
Yes, you're done, doc. Please, you can take your seat. Thank you. Pilo, there was a question about the debris. Are you ready to take it now, or they should repeat the question? Can you repeat the question, please?
Thank you. I wanted to find out with regard to the disaster management presentation, whereby you said you're having a collection of data. So my question is like to say, how do you make or manage to give real-time data? Is it national or area specific? So I was saying, can you try to share with us so that maybe as a country we can learn as to how we do mitigate the disasters before they do happen? I don't know whether I'm clear.
Thank you. Let me show that I understood you very well. You asking how do we access near-time data as a country? Is it specific to a location or at national level? I didn't get that. Maybe can you ask again? Okay, I think I have an idea. Accessing real-time data, it depends on the applications. It also depends on what type of data do you need. It might come at a cost because there are commercial satellites that have satellite passing every point on the earth every day. At some point, I came across a company from China. They said they can map any area on the globe 12 times a day. So that is, for me, high level, real-time data. However, it comes at a cost. But I wanted to focus on free data that is available, at least one image a week. And if you're looking at a situation where you have a flood, you can only hope that the event of the flood coincide with the satellite overpass. Because if you are monitoring floods, you don't need to monitor the floods throughout its entire lifespan. You might need the data just to map the areas that are affected at that moment, because historically we have the data that has shown that over the past few years this has been the flood line, because the rainfall of this magnitude, the flood line water it's at a certain level. So with historical data we are able to know and map with accuracy where